Welcome to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from the Center for New Media at Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, the college CEO, and with me today are two guests from our esteemed English department here at the college. We have Ashley Raithel and Adam Floridia. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, good to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
All right. Now, I know when we were communicating about what we're going to talk about today, we have a few topics, and one of them, Adam, I think you said all things English-y. I think you coined a new word there, didn't you?
Yeah. English professors get to make up a new word. It's one of our specialties.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Well, before we get to English-y things, I thought maybe in this first segment, if we could step back a little bit and talk somewhat about an exciting day of service that the college had back in November. Ashley is the coordinator of our Center for Civic Engagement. And Ashley, tell us what happened back in November.
So on November 22nd, we had a widespread day of service where 40 individuals from Middlesex Community College, teachers, staff, and students went to 7 different locations in Middletown, Cromwell, and Meriden to volunteer their services. So it was a fantastic day. We had wonderful feedback from the community. I think everyone that participated really enjoyed it. Adam was washing tables in Meriden, and it was awesome, right?
At the soup kitchen. I'm not kidding. It was a good time.
Yeah, and that was the feedback that I got, was that even if you were doing like physical hard labor, that it felt really good. It was right before Thanksgiving, so we had a really fantastic day with that.
Yeah, I raked leaves at Cromwell for a group home that we worked with, and it was nice to be with a group of people just doing something good but getting some fresh air in our case. So what were the names of the places that we visited?
We were at the Meriden Soup Kitchen. We were at Russell Library. We were at Restore, which is part of Habitat for Humanity, Edelbrook, Gilead Community Services. Yes, thank you. Cattails, and we were at, was that all of them? I'm missing one right now.
Did you say library? You said library.
Library.
So many.
If I missed
things.
you, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But we had wonderful service that we were contributing across, our small little area, and it was really wonderful.
How many times has the college done something like this in the past?
So this is the first time doing it widespread like this, but we have had days of service where we were working on like our community garden. We have a veterans community garden at the school, which we are going to be working on a lot this spring. So you're actually going to see some calls for volunteers sometime in April to help build more beds for that garden. That garden is grown by student volunteers, and then the produce that we grow is given back to the students through our Magic Food Bus. So it's a great initiative. So we actually that's going to be part of one of 3 days that we have coming up in the spring for volunteer days. So that's going to be in April. We're going to have a build day with Habitat for Humanity. I don't have a date on that yet, but coming up in February 21st and 22nd, we're going to be volunteering with Mark Community Services. They are a nonprofit organization in Middletown, which helps people with disabilities, and they just got a new space, and they need help painting and cleaning that new space. So we're going to have 3-hour time slots on those 2 days. You'll see a sign up coming out through Middlesex. So everyone who is on campus here, watch out for that email and sign up to volunteer, because it's going to be another great day with really good experiences for everyone.
That's great. In your email to the college community about this day of service, you had a really good way of connecting the purpose of a college with those who we serve. And do you kind of remember what you said at that time?
Well, we're here as part of the community, and we want to set a good example for our students in giving back to the community, just as much as students are coming to us. So it's a give and take, and I think what the Center for Civic Engagement is trying to do is support that idea and help be a model for civic engagement and volunteering for the community at large.
Okay. And what kind of responses did you get from our community partners after the day of service?
Oh, they were so excited. I got several emails from the different locations just saying, you don't realize how much something like washing tables at a soup kitchen actually makes a huge impact. The soup kitchen serves something like I want to say like 1,000 meals a year, something insane. And they don't have time. It's a volunteer organization, so they don't have time to scrub down all of the tables and all of the chairs every day. So grime builds up, and we don't really think about that. So she had emailed me to say, you just don't realize how much something like that is really, really helpful for us. So something as simple as cleaning or raking leaves, it just shows how much we care. And they were really, really appreciative of our work.
That's super. And thank you very much for leading that effort on behalf of the college
great.
and the community. Another thing we do for the community is a book club, and after a quick break, we're going to come back with Ashley and Adam to talk about the Middlesex Community College Book Club. You're listening to Middlesex Moments. Stay tuned for more.
At Middlesex Community College, we help students discover their future.
MxCC is our college.
With affordable payment options and easy access, come see how Middlesex can be your college.
MxCC is my college.
Classes in Middletown, Meriden, and online.
MxCC is our college.
Middlesex Community College, your future.
Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. This is Steve Minkler, and I'm with Ashley Raithel and Adam Floridia, two English professors here at Middlesex Community College. And actually, one of the things we want to talk about today is the Middlesex Community College Book Club, which is something we do not just for folks here on campus, but for members of the community. We invite them to come join us once a month in our Jean Burr Smith Library, located in Chapman Hall here on the Middlesex Community College main campus in Middletown. And actually, we just finished one of the books that we chose, well, you chose, not me, you chose for the semester. Actually, this was a group effort in selecting this book. This is called Teaching Unprepared Students. And I think, Ashley, there's some really interesting reasons why this book was chosen.
Yep. So I co-host book club with Adam, but I also sit on our Center for Teaching Steering Committee, and we were talking about the different professional development activities we wanted to have this spring, and we bounce around the idea of a common read a lot, and I'm always the one who wants the common read. So this book was actually recommended to us by some of our other sister schools, and I will admit that when it was chosen, none of us had read it before. And so CFT, or Center for Teaching, and Book Club decided to co-sponsor it as our January read, which is also kind of exciting because we often don't have a January read. Yeah. So we came back from vacation having done a little bit of thinking about what it means to be a professor and help some of our students who need a little bit more in the classroom than maybe we're used to giving.
So the book focuses both on the student's point of view and the teacher's point of view in some ways, right? I mean, so it's not just a critique about students being prepared or unprepared, but it is about that. But it's about how we as teachers can be more reflective in our practice to reach those students.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the book is trying to give you some practical applications for helping engage students a little bit more throughout the course of the semester. So, like, I actually already did one of the activities in the book, which is about helping students learn each other's names in your classroom. Like, I spend a lot of time learning my students' names. I want to know them all. But this professor really spends time talking about the fact that they need to know each other as well, and that helps with retention, right? If your friend isn't coming to class, maybe you're like, hey, why aren't you coming to class? So I did a couple of the different icebreaker activities, which kind of forces them to start to learn each other's names. And honestly, they were a lot of fun in my class anyway. So I think it is a reflective piece, but it also is trying to really give you practical ideas that you can use in the classroom.
Okay. Now, Adam, you teach a range of English courses. Well, both of you teach a range, but Adam, you're also particularly involved in a Bridge to College program that we run together with the Meriden School. So you are seeing through that role what students experience in the high school. So in terms of college preparation, what are you seeing as sort of the best ways to get students ready for college level work as they transition from high school?
I think the more we can do to make them aware of what college holds for them, what the expectations will be, and to try to start holding them more accountable for their own work and for their own learning sooner, so in high school, before they get here, the better. In one of our English classes, it's an English 101 with an ALP section. So this is a developmental section where rather than...
an ALP is what?
ALP, sorry, Accelerated Learning Program. So in the past, we had a standalone developmental English class. Students who weren't ready for English 101 would take this whole semester-long course, write all these essays to prepare them for 101. Research showed that by kind of doing this as a co-requisite, it can have much better results, and it's been wonderful actually for the past, I think, 4 years we've been doing it. So the students take a regular English 101 class, they're doing regular English 101 work, and then they follow the professor to it. Here we're lucky it's a computer lab usually, and it's a smaller group, say 12 students, and they're doing work that will help them get through 101. So rather than doing whole different essays, it's guess what we're going to work on is brainstorming and outlining, and honestly, a lot of it is about reinforcing the soft skills that are the things that students need to be successful, not just in English class, not just in college, but I'd say anywhere in the whole, that nebulous real world thing. But the idea of time management, of having motivation, of following through, of putting in effort, of meeting deadlines. And from my perspective, and this is reinforced with some of the things that the author says in the book, a lot of the reason students are coming to us unprepared is because, unfortunately, they aren't necessarily held accountable to those standards in their secondary educations. They don't necessarily have to meet deadlines when deadlines are shifting, or they can make things up, or when they can fail a test and retake it countless times. Literally last week I was in a high school and I was talking to a lot of high school teachers, and I was talking about the difference between kind of what I get to see here and what they see. And with them, a lot of it is, what did you do to make sure the student passed? Where here it's, what can I do to help the student? And it's up to the student to take accountability for his or her own learning. And that was one of the parts I liked in this book, that the author did reinforce, that it is from the teacher's perspective, and it is about what can we do and what our strategies we can do, knowing that we are getting students who are unprepared or underprepared. What can we do to help them? But the bottom line is, students still have to take responsibility for their own learning and have to put in some effort. So we aren't dragging them along. We're looking to help them, and we're letting them know we're here to help them, but they need to kind of up the ante too.
Right, and that's as part of the preparation. It's not just academic preparation or academic readiness, but readiness to accept the work and be, as you said, responsible for it.
Yep.
Ashley, you mentioned sort of the other magic R word. We have responsibility, but on the terms for the college, retention. And while colleges are judged a little bit based on how many students we keep, one easy way at them, isn't it, would be just give everybody an A. Then they might hang around with us, but we're not teaching them the responsibility. And Ashley, as a English professor, retention is more than just making sure students are doing the work and being accountable for it, but it really kind of speaks to a student's future path and success in college.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that we are always trying to figure out is how to help our students persevere through the class, right? Because I was just talking to my 101 class about this morning. I said, we're 22 students right now, and at the end of the semester, you'll look around and there will be significantly less. And so one of the things that this book really tries to get at is, what are the different ways that we can help retention through some of these activities? And some of them are simple things, like just getting to know your classmates, right? Once you feel invested in a community, then you're more likely to stick around in that community. But it's also things like, if you are a professor who normally has maybe a midterm and a final, and that's really it for you have for grades, having more check-in assignments throughout the course of the semester that can help keep students on track, then they feel like, okay, I understand this content before I move on to the next thing. So we're thinking a lot about how to help students go from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester, but also then keeping them for the following semester. Which, again, if you have friends that are at the school and you feel invested in the time that you've already spent there, you're going to be more likely to register for your classes and come to the next.
Okay, sounds good.
And if you feel a connection with the professor too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm sure it is that you get the same thing where you'll have students who will follow you. Mm-hmm. So you teach English 101, and then they'll ask, are you teaching English 102? Well, yeah, and there's plenty of other ones too, but if mine doesn't work with your schedule, no, I'm going to move my class to make sure that I can take your class.
Well, we probably should move on to the next book. So, but I thank you for that. That's a great discussion, and it really, I think, illustrates how we as a college and as faculty members are trying our best to link with our students and provide them many ways to be successful, but they have to own it. The second book that you have selected for the month of February, and we'll be discussing at the book club on Wednesday, February 26th at 12:30, is Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. And this just came out as a film with Jamie Foxx, Brie Larson, and Michael B. Jordan. So I don't know who was going to...
That's going to be Ashley.
Oh, Ashley, okay.
This was my pick. I'm so excited about this book. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. I am impressed that they're making it into a movie. I hope that because they're making it into a movie, we have lots of students who are going to opt to read it and come to book club. This book was like transformational for me. I read it last summer, I want to say. I know I have been talking to you about it since last summer because I wanted to get it as a read.
Yep.
It's nonfiction. It's the story. It's written by a lawyer who essentially helps people who are on death row, many of them who claim they are innocent. So they have been found guilty of a heinous crime. They are on death row. They are sentenced to death. And he is trying to figure out, first of all, in some ways, whether or not they're guilty or innocent and whether or not he can get them off. So this one story that continues throughout the whole book is that of Walter McMillan. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but essentially the book is mainly about him. But every other chapter is about some of the other cases that this lawyer is taking on. And some of them are not necessarily death row cases, but they're cases where a minor committed a crime, was tried as an adult, and now is sentenced to life in prison without parole. So imagine doing something stupid when you were 16, and now you're going to be in prison for the rest of your life with no chance to ever leave. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what he has done with his life is work on changing laws around things like that just shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be allowed to put someone away at 16 for the rest of their life with no chance of ever getting out, when we all know that brain development and different things like that play a role in the decisions we make as 16-year-olds. So I'm not a big nonfiction reader. I couldn't put this book down. It made such an impact on me. There's lots to do with racial bias in the book. It's set in the South. And some of it is dated. Some of it is, cases that were happened in the 80s and 90s. But I want to say some of them are as recent as like 2010. And you'll be amazed that some of the court decisions that are being made at that time that you kind of think are antiquated.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the author Brian Stevenson founded the Equal Justice Initiative, which is, as you're saying, is meant to help support those who may not have the resources or may be sort of marginalized and are likely to have been forgotten in the criminal justice system. So you said it was transformational to you.
Yeah.
You also being in our civic engagement, you are sort of politically aware. Is there anything that's your takeaway as a citizen that maybe you can help make some change?
I think this book is about awareness. But I also, one of the things that's really fascinating about it, and I don't, maybe this is kind of a little peripherally connected to that. The book is called Just Mercy because the people who are in this book, who have experienced, horrible things, right? They're in prison for crimes that, some of them did not commit for years and years and years. And they are they're thankful. They're thankful to this lawyer who comes and does pro bono work for them. They are, they pray a lot. They have all this grace. They have all this forgiveness for, something that I feel like is unforgivable, right? The court system put you in prison, took 20 years off your life. So I think there is like a takeaway there where it is a book that sits on you in a heavy way, but it also allows you to kind of see some other things of mankind. But it does make me think a lot about racial injustice. It makes me think about the way that we treat each other and the assumptions that we make, right? Like we make a lot of assumptions about people based on how they look. And we want to say in 2020 that we don't do that, but it's still a problem.
Mm-hmm. I think the beauty of the English language, we talked earlier about the word Englishy, but the beauty of the English language is in terms of inflection and emphasis. So the word just mercy, as it's applied in this book, I think is both just mercy, just mercy, meaning it's the right thing, and just mercy, like it's a simple, ordinary thing. And the book seems to speak to both uses of that word. Okay, it's time for a quick break, and when we come back, more about the Middlesex Community College Book Club with Ashley Raithel and Adam Floridia. You're listening to Middlesex Moments. Stay tuned for more. Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. This is Steve Minkler, together with my guests, Ashley Raithel and Adam Floridia. We've been talking about the Middlesex Community College Book Club, which meets once a month at the end of the month, the last Wednesday of the month typically, in the Gene Burr Smith Library, located in Chapman Hall at Middlesex Community College's main campus in Middletown. We talked earlier about the first book, which was Teaching Unprepared Students. We just actually finished reading that book together as a college community. And February's selection, which is called Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. Looking ahead to March and April, Adam, I think you got both of these selections. Our March selection is an Agatha Christie classic, The Murder at the Vicarage.
Yeah, I can take partial credit for that. First, I want to say I haven't read Just Mercy yet, so not only have you talked to me about that other times, and I haven't read it yet, but hearing you talk what you just did in the last segment made me really excited to read
Good.
it.
Good. I hope everyone reads it.
Usually I wait until about a week or so before the book club to read it, because then it's fresh in my mind. Otherwise, I'll read something else, and everything will get muddled. So I want to go home and pick it up, but now it's like I'm going to be tempted to wait. So in March, after Just Mercy, in March on the 25th, so last Wednesday of the month, we'll be doing an Agatha Christie novel. I have never read anything by Agatha Christie. No. But at the end of the semester, end of our fall semester, we ask the attendees what they would like to see, if they have recommendations and stuff. And I'd say our most regular, I think he's one of the few people who shows up to every single book club, so we give him a shout out. Hi, Paul. Paul Carmichael loves mysteries and has always asked for more mysteries. He's recommended Agatha Christie. So when we were planning this over break, I looked at different books, and this title, my research consisted of Googling best Agatha Christie novels, and because she's written a whole bunch apparently. This is not one with her, and I'm gonna lose his name, but her
Poirot?
Yes.
Okay.
This is not one of her novels where he is the protagonist. I think this is the first novel where she introduces a new protagonist. I want to say it's Marple.
Oh, Miss Marple.
Miss Marple.
Yeah.
Miss Marple. Yeah, I don't have the sheet in front of me. So it's a female protagonist, kind of to take the reins. I don't know if there's any connection, again, not having read them. I haven't read any Agatha Christie because, again, I know I tend to be much more of a snooty reader and look for stuff that I consider literature. So I don't pick up a whole lot of contemporary stuff. I don't pick up mysteries. I'm excited to read this, though. And my mother-in-law for Christmas got me a Book of the Month Club. And granted, it's only been 1 month so far, but I like that because it's already opening my horizon. So there's a list of January books I get to pick from, and I look at them and immediately go, yep, none of these are anything I would ever pick. But since I'm getting a free book for January, let me pick one. And I picked a kind of a ghost story mystery for January. And it was awesome. I really liked it.
Is it the Book of the Month Club? Is like that what it's called?
I think it is.
Yeah. I had it last year. That was my husband got me for Christmas last year. I loved it. But I like books like that.
I like it because it's going to force me to get out of my comfort zone. It's going to force me to read other things. The first book I read this year was by an author who I loved, Herman Koch. We actually did a book club book by him.
Oh, he was The Dinner, right?
The Dinner, which I loved, not other people didn't. So I read a book by him, and it was terrible. And then I read this book that I wouldn't have ever chosen, but I got it for the book of the month. I'm like, well, that was great. So I'm open to new things, and I'm really looking forward to the March selection.
Well, see, I rely on you guys to give me my book selections through the book club at Middlesex Community College. But actually, you're talking about Book of the Month Club types of things. You maintain a Goodreads page for our book selections. What's that about?
Yeah, so I'm a huge advocate of Goodreads for anybody who reads, goodreads.com. I don't do social media, but I look at this as like, I don't know, I say it's like a Facebook for books. It's a great place to keep track of stuff you've read, to keep a list of things you want to read. Like, oh, someone gives me a recommendation. Sure, I'll try to remember that, and then immediately it's gone. So you can make a to-read shelf. And you can write reviews of books, whether or not you're looking to, wow people with your writing, or like me, sometimes just I will forget what books I have read or what they were about, so I'll take little notes, and then I can go back and go, oh yes, actually I did read that a year ago, and apparently I thought it was pretty good, and here's why. And I was able to dedicate a page on the site to Middlesex's book club, so we have our own page. So anybody who's listening, and again, if stuff kind of goes in one ear and out the other, and you don't remember what books or what dates, it's all on the Goodreads page. I'm sure if you just go there and search for the book club, is called MxCC Reads. You should be able to see our page. It's got our books. It's got our meeting dates. I'll usually try to find little videos and links and stuff that are kind of, I don't know, more exciting promotional materials for the books. So I've got to find I think I either did post or I'm going to post, and haven't posted it yet, but a preview for Just Mercy, like a trailer for the movie to kind of promote it for the book.
Now, how did the book club at Middlesex Community College begin?
It began years before I was here with our emeritus librarian, Ann Palak. She used to run a book club on campus, and when she retired, I thought that kind of left a hole in the not just the collegiality of the college, but the literacy. Like, it was nice. It's nice to have people get together and talk, and as an Englishy person, get together and talk about Englishy stuff. So I remember speaking to you and getting some suggestions, and working with the librarian to see if they wouldn't mind if I sort of reinvigorated it. And I want to say it's been since maybe fall 2017. So I think we're going on 3 years now that I've been at the helm of it. And it started that fall, since it was just me picking mostly books that I like. So we read Kurt Vonnegut, my favorite author. We read David Foster Wallace, one of my other favorite authors. And when not as many people showed up, I realized I needed to cater to other people's tastes and not just have people read what I want to read. And Ashley's been a wonderful addition for many reasons. I don't know if it's
that much bigger, but we're working on it.
Yeah, and we're still trying to promote and get as many people as possible.
Yeah, and it's something that's not directly attached to a reading in your classes,
no.
Correct? So,
and honestly, that's what I think is fun about it, because we get to read things like Agatha Christie that we're not going to read in a literature course. And whereas Adam finds himself to be a snooty reader, I am like a beach read, junk read junkie. Like, I love crappy books. Sorry. I do. So I get to read a lot of literature because I teach a lot of literature, which obviously has wonderful merits, but it is fun at the end of the day to have something that's totally different, fluff.
Well, but Ashley, I think we need to remind Adam that one of his selections for the fall book club was Private Parts by Howard Stern.
Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't put that in the pantheon of high literature. Adam.
That's true. That's not in the canon yet.
So maybe you can talk about the final selection for this semester, which will come up on April 29th, is The Overstory by Richard Powers.
Oh my God, that book is so good. That's actually the only book I've read on here, aside from the one that we just did. I read that. That was my beach read over the summer, and it is contemporary. I want to say it definitely won one of the big prizes. I don't know if it won the Nobel Prize for Literature, but it won, or a Pulitzer Prize. It won some big awards, and that was my beach read. I think it's a long book, and it's definitely, I would classify it as contemporary literature. It's an awesome story. It is, I'll be honest, not one I would have picked for book club, only because of its length, and it's a little bit dense. But in April, we always try to do the one book on the Riverbend. So other local libraries, other local book clubs, there's a group who gets together and picks a book, and then it's a common read outside of just the college, but I mean for the whole community. So other community members will be reading this book. So when this was on the short list, I said, yeah, I'm all for that.
Do you have an idea why because this book is a lot different than previous picks for One Around the Riverbend. Do you have any idea why they might have chosen this one that's so different this year?
So I reached out to the librarian at Russell Library, who I think is sort of in charge of a lot of that, to ask if they were even going to do it, because I hadn't heard from her about one book in a while, and usually they kind of have things pretty tight by now. And there were changes, and they weren't even sure if they were going to do one, and then got back to me like the next week asking about this one, if I knew anything about this. That's great. I think that's kind of higher literature. It's one that I wouldn't pick, but I would love to have an excuse to put that on book club.
So did you really pick the One Around the Riverbend book, Adam?
No, I didn't.
That's what it sounds like.
But I certainly gave it an enthusiastic thumbs up because it's such a great book. My wife's best friend was reading it, and I recommended it to her. It's got a lot of environmentalism in it, and she's a real hippie girl, and so she was reading it, and I asked her how it was going. She said she loves it. She texts my wife and will share passages with her, and then recently asked her, I was like, oh, by the way, this is our book club book. Maybe you can come and speak. She's like, I haven't finished it yet. I've had 50 pages left. I don't want to finish it because I will be so sad when it's over.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's one of those books.
Sure. Yeah.
So in the short time we have left, before we recap the dates of our book club, I have to imagine that in the English department, you've got some pretty lively debates about literature, about reading, and about the kinds of things that each of you likes. I mean, even today, we've heard quite a difference. So that must be a pretty lively department to work in.
We're a great department.
We're a great department. We are.
If we do say so ourselves.
Yeah.
I think so. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think this is also what's nice about book club in general, and I mean this kind of exemplifies it, is it's great to be able to disagree with someone and to share an opinion. The first book we read, I have a different opinion than Ashley. And I'm like, well, I didn't like this at all. And she said, I thought it was really good. Okay, well, why? And whether or not you change my opinion, it's just nice to be able to talk it out civilly and respectfully and intelligently with someone. So everyone has different opinions. It's nice to hear them.
And that's the exact purpose of the Middlesex Community College Book Club, which we do once a month here at the Gene Burr Smith Library in Chapman Hall at our main campus in Middletown. So, Ashley, if you don't mind recapping our first two books and promoting our we already read the first one, but promoting our February read.
Sure. So we just finished teaching unprepared students, which we're actually about to have a talk today at 12:30. But then in February 26th at 12:30, February 26th at 12:30, we're going to be reading Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. It's about someone who was on death row, who claimed to be innocent, and it's just been made into a major motion picture. So, please join us for that read.
Okay, and our next two books, Adam?
And then the last Wednesday in March, that'd be the 25th at 12:30, we'll be discussing The Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie. Sure to be an exciting mystery. Picked it for Paul. And our last book of the semester, Wednesday, April 29th at 12:30, will be The Overstory by Richard Powers. It's an amazing, sweeping tale about humanity, about our place in the world. I would say, if anything, this book was a little bit transformational for me. I'm not going to go full out transformational, but it definitely got me to think about things and see things a little bit differently about our world and our place in it.
So Adam Floridia and Ashley Raithel, both professors of English here at Middlesex Community College, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to another edition of Middlesex Moments. As always, you're welcome to visit us in person at our main campus at 100 Training Hill Road in Middletown, or at our Meriden Center at Platt High School, 220 Coe Avenue, where we offer afternoon and evening classes 4 days a week, including one taught by Adam. And, of course, you can visit us 24/7 at mxcc.edu. For everyone at Middlesex Community College, I'm Steve Minkler, and we hope to see you again soon.